He is the play-by-play commentator for the Atlanta Hawks and the basketball tournament, and he is the host of a Trophy Life podcast. We welcome Bob Rathbun onto Hoopsology. How's it going, Bob?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
And thanks for coming on to the show. Really appreciate it. And we want to just have this discussion with you just because you're a wealth of just sports knowledge and in particular basketball. So we're really looking forward to this chat. And one of the first questions we ask of most of our guests is what is their favorite basketball memory or their first basketball memory? I'll let you decide where you want to take that question.
Gosh. Well, I grew up in North Carolina and I was born in Rhode Island, and my dad was transferred. And so, as a kid in Rhode Island, of course, I was Celtics over the head. But then, growing up in North Carolina, and we moved when I was 11 or 12, right in the middle of ACC basketball country. So I got an indoctrination early on to our great game with the best of the NBA and the best of college basketball. And I guess that's kind of where it started for me, the love of the game and the respect of the game, growing up around those two events. But I don't know if there was one particular memory, although, when I was in high school and in college, I had a chance to go to these games. It's funny, the play-by-play announcer, he was at Wake Forest and then later Duke, happened to live in my hometown in Salisbury, which is, if you know North Carolina, it's, I don't know, half an hour north of Charlotte, right between Charlotte and Greensboro. And the fellow's name was Leo Morris, and he was a longtime voice of the Wyoming Cowboys. And he kept coming back to Salisbury because we headquartered the National Sportscasters and Sports Writers Association, and he used to win from Wyoming all the time. Well, he would come to Salisbury to get his award, and he fell in love with the place. So he moved and was the voice at Wake and Duke, and I was in high school. And so I kept stats for him, which got me into all these great ACC tournament games and NCAA games. So those memories are like it happened yesterday. To me, David Thompson and, NC State and the great game against UCLA and all that stuff, it seemed like it happened last week. So it made a pretty good impression on me.
Since you've been a long time basketball fan, I think it's interesting that you've been calling the basketball tournament and you've kind of seen the game of basketball go through different evolutions through pro, through college, and now we've seen like afterwards in terms of either after the professional playing days are done, like this third iteration. And I just want to kind of get your thoughts on just yourself commentating on this new concept that's become wildly popular recently. It's something that myself and Matt are particularly fond of just because we're from Albuquerque, New Mexico. The University of New Mexico had a team representing the Enchantment. So just your thoughts on this, you're doing play-by-play for the basketball tournament, and where do you see the tournament kind of evolving in the years to come as well?
The pit where LaFonso Ellis got ejected.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That's
right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. The fellow who, two guys, they were childhood friends growing up. Dan Friel in New Orleans now is an attorney, and John Mugar, who has his name attached as the founder of TBT, was their idea. Next summer will be the 10th anniversary, so it has survived. It was the first sport to come back through the pandemic, but I think it is an idea that people sort of attach themselves to. It's summertime basketball. 95% of the guys who play in it were pretty good college stars, but are playing overseas. And it comes at a time where many of them are finalizing deals to go back, gives them a little bit of summer run, because the camps overseas, they kick up right about now, middle of August. So this is a good run for them. And they either play for a cause or they put an alumni team together. And that's sort of what TBT is all about. And it's a nice 3-week run where guys get to play. It's unique that you play just for the championship money. Only one team walks away with the cash, which makes it interesting. A lot of pain for the team that loses the championship game, that's for sure, to go all that way and come away with nothing. But it's a good idea. I think it will continue to gain in popularity. I think you'll see some spinoffs. I think you'll see a women's tournament in time. I think you'll see probably a college tournament um, if they can get it off the ground. With NIL being what it is, you might have a chance to. It might be an intramural team, but it might have some scholarship players on it. So I think you'll see a couple of other things around it take off. But it's pretty neat. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. The basketball world watches TBT. I mean, you guys obviously watched it, and it's interesting. We had Fran Fraschilla does the color with me, and we had a lot of texts championship night from all kinds of players. Elvin Hayes was watching the game.
Wow.
So a lot of the basketball community, was dialed in, curiosity to see how it would all turn out. So it's a pretty fun event. Did you guys like it? You like TBT?
Yeah, absolutely. We had John on the show
Oh,
a
okay.
couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's something that's really near and dear to our heart, and it's kind of cool to see New Mexico being represented. It's something that I always joke with my coworker, like, "Hey, we should we should put together a team and have New Mexico being represented." So it's cool to see them
Right.
just, but have them face a New Mexico state team as well in the pit.
Right.
It just brings back
Right.
so many memories. It was like watching
Yeah.
a time machine. It was it was pretty surreal
Yeah.
to
It's
watch.
as I'm sure John mentioned. It is not easy
No.
Mhm.
putting these
Mhm.
teams together. These
Exactly.
guys that are the GMs of these 64 teams, it's a 12-month-a-year job to
Yeah.
try to get these guys together because are they injured? Are they rehabbing? Uh, do they want to play in it?
Yeah.
Are they going to be around when the tournament happens? So it's not that easy. You think, well, why doesn't Duke have a team or Kentucky or, these, because their guys are still playing in the NBA,
Right.
Mhm.
and if not, they're overseas and maybe can't make it and all that stuff. And it's a commitment, but it's fun. And that Buffalo team that won it, the Blue Collar U,
Mhm.
I think they would have a respectable, if not a championship level G League team
Mm.
with the guys that they put out there because they're all in their prime, they're mid-20s. They've got the great balance of offense and defense, size, guards, wings, shooters. They're pretty buttoned down. And when you bring in the Alabama coaching staff to coach you, like they had them when they were there in Buffalo, that's a tough combination to beat. I mean, they had detailed scouting reports. Practice was all business. Shoot around was all business. So they deserve the $1 million prize. That's for sure.
Bob, one of the things I've heard you talk about is that as a play-by-play announcer, one of the things you stress about and want to make sure you're really well researched on is, of course, the rules of the game.
Oh, yes.
So in relation to TBT, I just wanted your thoughts on the Elam ending, and also what is it like broadcasting the Elam ending?
Yeah, it's a fabulous idea. It is one that I have taken to the NBA to decide overtime in the regular season. Now
Mm.
you could never end an NBA game with the Elam ending. There's just too many things, sponsors and TV and
Mm.
timeouts and all this stuff. So it would never work at the end of a game like it does for TBT. But I think it would be a marvelous thing for overtime, regular season, obviously. Uh, I think the fans would go bananas to see the stars of the game. Look what happened in the All-Star game. I mean, you got Kyle Lowry taking charges in an All-Star game in an Elam
Yeah.
ending. So I think it would have an excitement about it, sort of like, in a way, but better than the shootout in the NHL if it's tied after the first overtime. I'd go right to it. And I don't know what the magic number would be. We do 8 in TBT. That's not enough. You hit a couple of threes and it's over. So I would set it up there at like maybe 15, something
Mhm.
like that. And let these guys have at it. And that way you don't have the triple overtime, the
Mhm.
4 overtime. I've done 4 overtime games in the NBA. I'm telling you, it wrecks you for the next week because, you've got to come back and play the next night or in 2 nights, but you feel it for another week. So I think it'd be a good way to end overtime because in the arena and on TV, at the end of regulation, everything's been sold. You know, there are no in-arena promotions left. Everything, every sponsored T-shirt throwaway. I mean, you name it, it's all done. Every spot that's scheduled to be in TV has played. So it's just extra time. And I think it would be a great idea for the NBA.